The quality of our lives has been improved in numerous ways as a result of digital technology. There is no doubt that the fast-growing information technology has shrunk the world into a global village. The Internet has opened up access to vast amounts of information that is instantly accessible, and this helps everyone to enrich their knowledge through rewarding experience. With everything from books to maps turning digital, the amount of time one spends in front of a screen is likely to increase. In the past decade, the use of screen-based technology like smartphones, computers, handheld electronic games, tablets, etc. has exploded to mind-boggling levels.
Daily TV.
I use my mobile phone,
iPhone,
laptop, TV,
mobiles,
laptop or my mom's laptop.
I use my laptop, desktop, mobile phone and my friend's iPad.
Tabs will be throughout, in terms of browsing for details or, playing games on it, connecting with relatives over Skype.
around 16 to 17 hours.
12 to 14 hours.
15 hours it goes in front of the screen.
6 to 8 hours.
5 to 6 hours.
12 to 14 hours a day.
Around 5 to 6 hours.
I guess more than 15 to 16 hours.
I spend almost 5 to 6 hours in using mobile phone and laptop.
5 to 6 hours.
I don't think I've spent, even a few seconds without looking at any screen.
முதல்ல SMS பேசுறது ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் கூட பேசுறது இப்போ வாட்ஸ்அப்
mostly for entertainment.
Calls, chats, texting.
I use my phone for a lot of other activities. I do a lot of e-book reading.
Chatting, messaging with friends, talking to them.
இமெயில்ஸ் செக் பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்கு கொஞ்சம் சோஷியல் மீடியாவில் ஒரு சில விஷயங்கள் பார்க்குறதுக்கு.
Generally social networking.
Though people use screens for various purposes, texting predominates their screen usage.
Texting, of course. I don't think anybody can survive without texting. And, I think with the current, be it a tab or a mobile, texting has become even more convenient.
Although teens report that most texts are relatively banal, checking in on what a friend's doing or where she is texting can have detrimental consequences. 1 in 3 teens reports texting while driving. 1 in 4 teens has been bullied or harassed via text. And 1 in 7 teens had received a sext. 4 in 10 teens use instant messaging to send comments that they wouldn't say in person. This leads to cybercrime. Next to text, it's the social network which is reported as the 3rd largest populated virtual country.
Because I have Facebook on my phone, so that's like my only connection with them, and that's what I use it for.
As a researcher, my point of view, social media or internet is something which promoted self-narcissism.
நான் ஒரு பொண்ணு நினச்சி ரொம்ப நாளாக பேசிகிட்டே இருந்தது பக்கத்து ரூம் பையன்கிட்ட, அதுவும் சேட்டிங்கில்.
Next is the video games that dominates in screens usage. The most worrisome part of video games is the cycle of violence from screen to seat. Most of the children who play games report that fellow gamers become mean or overly aggressive while playing with them. Additionally, there's a wealth of evidence that playing violent video games makes children less empathetic to others suffering.
Make sure that violent video games are not purchased, and video games which promote the skill of the child, like building skills, are used to enhance the child's development rather than become deleterious in the development of the child.
Despite the availability of internet, video games and the most frequently used screen continues to be the television.
Our media glamorizes tobacco use, alcohol use, and illicit sexual relationships. These children take these things into a normal activity and they incorporate into their own life.
TV has become the companion for housewives, where in most of the houses the TV set is on for all the time. The soaps on TV have become a part and parcel of their life.
In serials, the emotions are always exaggerated. To make their point, the crime and the violence and everything is given in an overdose. The adult can filter. The adult can always remember that it is only fiction. But the young mind, those horrible words, those emotional overplay, crying too much for a simple thing or getting angry for a small thing, get imprinted in their young brains. So they become very emotional.
Through TV, we try to imitate others. We wish to live like a second-hand human being by watching the TV.
Researchers report that children would suffer from obesity if they develop the habit of watching television while having food.
At times when I have to extract some work through him, I will be offering him so that he will be playing a game, and then even to make him have food also I have to give him.
Some parents even complain that their children refuse to take food if the TV is not on. They become anxious if they are asked to withdraw watching TV.
$5,000 to $10,000 advertisement per year. They are getting exposed to that.
So many junk foods are promoted, and these things, these pizzas and burgers and all those things are promoted as if they are wonderful, they are very tasty, very yummy and very healthy. I mean, a guy is shown as very strong after taking some, this soft fizzy drinks. These things, negatively influence the child. The child might believe subconsciously that these are not only acceptable behaviors, but they are also good. And once the child, dwells on this indulgence, once it starts, it's very difficult to take away the child from that.
This leads to attention problem and aggressive behavior among the children.
Although experts acknowledge these anomalous behaviors as a problem, it is turning out to be the most ingrained addiction in the modern world.
நம்ம பக்கத்தில் உட்காந்துருக்க ரத்த காட்டேரி அது நம்ம ரத்தத்தை உறிஞ்சிக்கிட்டே இருக்கும். நம்மளை அறியாமலே அதுக்கு நம்ம அடிமையாயிட்டிருப்போம். எப்படி ட்ரக் அடிக்ட் அப்படின்னு ஒன்று இருக்கோ, இப்போ ஸ்மோக்கிங்க்கு அடிக்ட், அந்த மாதிரி சோஷியல் மீடியா அடிக்ட்னஸ்ன்னு இன்னைக்கு வந்துடுச்சு.
One of the reasons why screens have become so addictive is that it's an instant access to a virtual world. The problem is that when this virtual life takes priority over real life, isolation in the real world sets in. And this isolation leads to addiction.
Because children are alone, they have to spend the time till the parents return, either in front of the TV or doing games. Invariably, the television becomes an easier option.
யார் ஒருத்தன் 4 மணி நேரத்துக்கு அதிகமாக இன்டர்நெட் முன்னாடி உட்காடுறானோ அவன் அடிக்ட்.
A Chinese study has said addiction to the screens could cause damage to the brain similar to alcohol and drugs. Screen gadgets are akin to stimulants like alcohol, drugs, tobacco, caffeine, etc., which on prolonged usage damage the brain's motivational and attention mechanism. One of the neuron transmitters of our brain, namely dopamine, stimulates the feeling of goodness. Researchers have found that exposure to screen gadgets increases dopamine release, which in turn make children feel pleasure and thus leads to addiction. More release of dopamine starts dampening the brain's motivational and attention mechanisms. This results in severe disorders like learning disabilities, poor memory, lack of attention and motivation. Kids who are overexposed to screens are more prone to these disorders.
That's the reason they should be exposed to real life than virtual images like TV and other things before 2 years.
children's development, we divide it into 4 categories: gross motor, fine motor, vision, and social skills. Because of this electronic media intrusion, all these 4 domains are influenced.
Even if you take a small children, the eye-hand coordination is very important in development. It involves gross motor as well as fine motor. When the child is occupied fully in TV viewing, then automatically the eye-hand coordination is affected. So in turn, it will affect the gross motor as well as the fine motor development.
They have lesser interactions with not only their peer groups, with their parents, with their friends, with their family, and with the society. So they become withdrawn and confined to within the 4 walls of the television room.
It is like a passive learning, not active learning.
It is very bad to expose any child less than 2 years to television at all. That should be completely banned. Less than 2 years, no television watching. That should be the first principle. That's because so many bad things can be engrossed in the child's brain. And secondly, the constant flicker of the lights. These are not good things for the child's eyes.
The TV becomes his mother.
Doctors believe that the youngest children whose brains are still developing should never watch television. From the age of 3 to 7 years, they should be limited to an hour and a half in a day.
Just watching television alone, this increases the chance of obesity in a child.
More than 50 diseases have been directly linked to obesity as a result of junk food eating and television watching.
This obesity is going to lead for heart disorders, hypercholesterolemia, hyperlipidemia.
Harmful ultraviolet rays which comes from the computer, TV and the video game screen affects the eyes of the children, which causes dryness, headache, pain in the eyes and burning of the eyes.
The more times kids spend on screens, the more irritable they become. Increased access to technology makes it easy for kids to slide into damaging digital behaviors.
ஸ்கூல் காலேஜஸ்லாம் இப்போ மொபைல் ஃபோன் யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. ஆனால் எல்லா இன்ஸ்டியூஷன்ஸ்லையுமே இப்போ வந்து புக்குக்கு பதில் லேப்டாப் தான் யூஸ் பண்ண சொல்கிறாங்க. அதனால் மொபைல் யூஸ் பண்ணுறத விட மோடம் எடுத்துகிட்டு வந்துடுறாங்க. லேப்டாப்பில் வச்சு படிக்கிறாங்களோ இல்லையோ சோஷியல் நெட்வொர்க்கில் வந்து அதனால் படிக்கிறதையும் கெடுத்துட்டு ஏதாவது பண்ணிட்டு தான் இருக்கோம்.
Technology will continue to provide us with even more choices and conveniences in daily life. The problem is, with choices, there comes the responsibility as to how these choices shall be used.
They get often distracted, mostly undergraduate students. They are thrilled by the very use of technology and its offering, and they lay their hands and they start using it, knowing not it is another way of spending the time, and they take their own time and they lose in this attempt their own self. So there is a third potential threat.
One of the side effects already seen of the digital age is the instant gratification mindset that says, I want it now. The instant gratification mindset burdens us with the need to feel good at almost anything we do. This instant gratification mindset is one of the many roots of addiction, and through spending 6 hours a day looking at screens, this mindset is being ingrained and firmed up into the mental fabric of the future generations.
See, internet is something that brings in whole world of information down to one's knees the moment they get connected to internet. Being anywhere, of course, it's a seamless thing. That itself is a threat. Even for our student being within the home, inside in his own room, still if it is not a supervisory learning, there is a potential threat that he can or she can cause damage to his own self or herself.
It is time to think on how your child makes use of screens. Is screen time being used as something that genuinely enhances their knowledge? Or is it something that is consuming too much of their time, leaving them lethargic and uninterested in real-life activities, and thus turning them into couch potatoes? Here are some signs to watch out for to determine whether they are just adapting to technology or have a screen addiction. Putting off physical activities or meals because of computer activity or TV viewing. Loss of interest in doing their homework. Preoccupation with TV, the internet or video games. Experiencing withdrawal symptoms of moodiness or restlessness if you attempt to cut back on their screen time. Getting angry or violent if you attempt to cut off their screens. Needing to have TV on all the time.
It was in 12th when boards were approaching and I was so addicted to texting.
For the past 6 months, she was continuously attending to her cell phone. Some message will come and impulsively she will wake up from the bed. She will get up from the bed.
The day I thought I would leave texting, the next day I was like, shit, how will I actually be without it?
However tired she is, however hungry she is, she could not control herself from replying to that message. If the cell phone, somebody takes that cell phone away, she'll become angry. She'll throw things, break things, even beat her parents.
It was time my parents actually helped me. They took me to a counselor where she counseled me and told me the importance of everything else. I was so much into it. It took a lot of time, but I adapted to it.
டெக்ஸ்டிங் வந்து அக்கேஷ்னலாக தான் ஆரம்பித்தோம்னு அதுக்கப்புறம் அதை டெக்ஸ்ட் பண்ண எனக்கே தெரியாமல் ஐ காட் அடிக்டட் டு இட் அண்ட் இட் பிகேம் அ ஹேபிட். எங்கேயாச்சும் வெளியே போனாலும் அப்படின்னாலும் மொபைல் இல்லாமல் இருக்க முடியாது அப்படின்ற ஒரு மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு. ஒரு ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் போயிருந்தோம் அப்படின்னாலும் அங்கேயும் மொபைல் வச்சுட்டு ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸோட சேட் பண்ணுறது, எஸ்எம்எஸ் ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர் அது மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. அதுக்கப்புறம் என்னோடய லிமிட் நான் க்ராஸ் பண்ணுறேன் அப்படின்றத பேரண்ட்ஸ்கிட்டேருந்து ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷன் வந்துச்சு. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஐ ஜஸ்ட் ஆஃப்டர் ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷன்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் ட்ரை பண்ணி ஐ ஜஸ்ட் ஸ்டாப்ட் இட்.
For someone whom we care about, and who tends to move towards screen addiction, let us intervene and lead them towards recovery.
People are now playing virtual tennis when they have to actually be playing tennis in the open ground. Where is the fresh air? Where is these things, these developments? These things are gone today.
Parents should encourage their children not to use computer or TV or video games more than 1 hour per day. So they should encourage them to go out and do some outdoor activities, involve in play activities, because if they're staying at home, they'll start using computer, TV and video games.
Remember, in the absence of other attractive options, bored kids will turn on electronic devices for entertainment. So don't just cut out the digital stuff without offering alternate outlets. Instead of nagging or moving the entire family to a remote cabin in the woods, how about simply going screen-free for a week? How about entertaining your child with a mask on his face? Engage them in alternative indoor games. Invite children to fill your terrors playing various games. Work towards a finite beginning and end your child's screen dependence. Make use of parental control options in your TV and other screen gadgets.
child is a very good mimic of its parents. Your child is as good as you are. Please remember that. If you sit and watch television continuously and then you tell, no, you should not watch, the child is not going to listen to you. You should actually teach the child by setting up examples. You should show the child what is correct, not tell the child what is correct. That's a very important message I would give for any parents.
There should be a clear cut, clear margined TV watching time, and there should be a clear cut family chatting time.
Reduce your child's desire to play video games and find a stability period for a week and slowly withdraw them from playing video games. Develop an awareness of how their addictive pattern functions on their mental, physical, and emotional levels. Make children understand that reading is good for the environment and for us because we are not wasting electricity on surfing the internet.
The imagination which you get by reading, say, a novel, for example, you imagine if an author has written about how a sea was, how vast it was, how the ship went through it, that imagination, it can never be, recreated in an artificial way. A television cannot recreate that. Your imagination is completely vivid. It's really flickering. It's wonderful, which you are actually cutting by actually looking at something. I mean, that really quells the imagination.
A large number of studies have found that parental rules and limits on child screen time effectively reduces screen time.
It is up to the parents to ensure that they move on to the positive things and rather than the negative things.
Blanket ban to use digital technology is ill-advised. Making use of the digital screens with wise prudence is recommended. For instance, kids could use computers for completing homework and project completion. Video games help children build visual spatial skills, analytical thinking, and executing functions.
Be open about your fears.
Limit the watching of the television to in terms of both time and the content. It's a good practice if you have time to sit with the child through a complete program. And it is very important for you to set the example, tell the child what is right or wrong, and stop the television once the program is over.
My word, I should encourage. I should be by his side, by her side, and encourage this is right, this is wrong, till the point in time where they themselves can understand and do something for the better.
Nowadays we have wristwatches, but we don't have time. And that's what has happened to our society completely. And there is a need in our country to look upon our own specific needs, which may be quite different from the usual Western statistics which we quote, because our television channels, what we project in our child, our cultural values are entirely different, and there is a pressing need for ourselves to take a stand on it and look into these things more critically than relying on whatever comes from the West.
Used with wisdom, guidance, prudence, and precautions, the digital media serves as an important social platform that lets them express themselves, feel included, and showcase their talents. Technologies are for our convenience, not for complications. We must learn to use technologies without being addicted to it. Turn off the screen. Reconnect as a family.